Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of r/EntitledPeople. It's time for more Reddit stories, so sit back and relax and let's get into it, guys. And also, if you enjoy this content, make sure to like and subscribe. Alright, so for this one, we actually have some footage of the interaction to go along with it. My first ever Karen knocked on my door last night. So for Christmas, my husband and I put up our lights and some deer we got from the grandparents. Christmas is a silly holiday, so we position the deer in a humping position. A lot of cars stop to take photos. The children that pass always have something funny to say, and they generally laugh about it. Our decorations have been up since the first week of December. Yesterday, January 3rd, around 5:40ish p.m., I heard the doorbell ring about 5 times. At first, I thought it was my husband being silly. When I opened the door, I was greeted by a Karen. The following happened, and I'll let the video speak for itself.
Hi. Hi.
Hi. How can I help you?
Yeah. You got a lit up couple of deer out here?
Yes.
And they're humping each other?
Correct.
Why do you have that?
Because we like to.
Be vulgar?
I mean,
And
it's
provide vulgarity for the rest of us to drive by and have the kids see that and be a vulgar person.
all of the kids that have passed by.
You know what?
Like
It's really vulgar. You know what?
Sorry, did you just come to my house to reprimand me?
Yeah, it's like Satan stuff.
Okay, well I like Satan. No,
I guess you do.
Merry Christmas.
No, there's no Mary.
We were planning on taking our decorations down last night anyways, and we did. Except this time, now we have 3 deer that are still out on display. The stag humping the doe, and a second doe with its face in the stag's ass. The absolute pettiness is what's so great about this. If she hadn't complained in the first place, it would have been taken down anyway. But since she made such a big deal about it, might as well keep it up just to spite her. Karen hurls abuse at a 13-year-old before her husband tries to grab him across the counter. So about 2 weeks before Christmas, there's an event that was happening just outside the mall entrance nearest to us later that evening. Except neither I nor the previous shift supervisor knew about it, so I didn't prepare any more stuff for cooking, hoping to use what's left for the rest of a quiet night. So it's just me and 2 juniors, and once the event ends, all these families come inside to have some dinner before heading home. Instead of going to the food court on the other side of the mall, they see that we're open and all head to us. Very quickly, we're swamped in cooking with about 15 to 20 large orders, with more on the way which we have no prep for. I'm cooking with the more experienced junior, while the newest one, 13, is handling orders as he doesn't know how to cook yet. I start hearing a woman and her husband raising their voices, demanding their food as they've been waiting nearly 20 minutes, and I hear my junior telling them that it's nearly done and we're just a bit flooded with orders at the moment. I'm actively walking out of the kitchen at this point to tell them that we're plating their food now, when I start hearing her go off her tree about how it's not effing good enough, and other colorful things at my junior. He then says what all customer service workers wish they could say, and tells her, if it's not good enough, then you can piss off. Her husband immediately pulls the hanging plexiglass aside and practically lunges at him over the counter, shouting about how dare he say that to his wife. I pull my junior away from him as he does that, and tell the husband I'm giving their money back and that they need to leave before I call security. They scream at me for a bit as I do actually call security, but quickly leave when the security shows up. Thankfully, the other patrons were more understanding, and the owner came down 10 minutes or so later to help out, as he had checked in on the cameras and saw how screwed we were. Edit. Because a lot of people were asking, this happened in Australia, where the minimum age is 13. He only does 3-hour shifts for 3 evenings a week, and we don't treat him as if he has to perform at adult levels. He was a kid of one of the owner's friends, getting some work experience and extra pocket money doing half shifts on what was supposed to be quiet evenings. The owner has contacted police, though nothing has come from that yet. Entitled parent thinks I'm too young to be disabled. I'm a young female with POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. From the outside, I look just like any other woman around my age. However, this has caused many encounters with entitled people when I use accessible seats, bathrooms, parking spots, etc. I was at a shopping mall yesterday with my friends. Everything was going well until I had to use the bathroom. An entitled mother arrived with a 5 or 6-year-old child. I used the accessible bathrooms because of dizziness and balance problems. Alright, here we go. I enter the accessible bathroom, and entitled mother gives me a dirty look. After I close the door, she starts screaming. "Excuse me, this is a family bathroom. I have a child, and you clearly do not." "I'm sorry, but this is also an accessible bathroom. I have a disability, and I need to use this bathroom." "A disability? Where is your wheelchair?" "Not everyone with a disability uses a wheelchair. Please stop." Entitled mother doesn't like my response. "You're too young to be disabled. You're probably faking it to get benefits." I do not receive disability benefits, and am fully capable of working. Trying not to get angry at the entitled mother, I say, "People of any age or gender can be disabled. And like I said, I need to use this bathroom or else I might faint." "Fainting is not a disability. Let us use the bathroom. I am a single parent." She bangs on the door. I don't say anything after that because I realize that there is no point in fighting an entitled parent who probably won't learn anything from my words. I finish up and exit the bathroom. Entitled mother says to her child, "See, that's a person who has no respect for innocent kids like you." I felt bad for the child because they looked really embarrassed and was pulling on their mom's leg. As they entered the bathroom, the child apologized for their mom's behavior. 5-year-old children can still be more mature than their parents. Man, isn't that the truth? It's situations like these where you really just hope that these kids grow up to not be like their parents. Instead of using their parents as an example of how to be, they instead take it as an example of how not to be. One can only hope. Entitled man learns a life lesson to never mess with truckers or their friends. So for context, I work for a local tow truck company as the manager, and the roads outside our city up the hills are famous for being tricky and full of deadly turns to drive on. We are a busy company, especially during heavy rain periods where the roads are almost impossible to ride with cargo trucks. The owner of the company is a sweet old lady, and she does her best to help the truck drivers have the best time possible during this crappy situation. We let them buy coffee and snacks in the stops, on us, and they are very grateful for it. The costs are honestly not too high, especially because our contracts are quite hefty due to said roads, plus the many other regular people who don't know better how to drive there. Every week I go to the local truck stops to confirm how much we have to pay them all. I could do that by just a couple phone calls or messages, but if I have the chance to leave that office, I'll take it in a heartbeat. The workloads can be downright cruel sometimes, so that's a good break for me, and the owner doesn't mind at all. I'm known there to be the person who pays for the truckers' coffee and food, and while I always tell them that's the company paying for it, they're very grateful anyway. Plus, we treat them with the dignity and respect they deserve, so that's another big plus. There was a day last year in the middle of summer where a big storm was going on that swamped me with work. I had to help our 22 drivers to locate and retrieve people's cars, constantly receiving calls for help, so much so that dreaded noise still hammers my head to this day. I had an assistant, but even so, it was way too much for only 2 people to handle. We spend from 5 a.m. to 5 a.m. breaking our backs and minds that day. The road is even worse, so we had to work overnight then. At 5 a.m. I was leaving home to rest, and the owner said she could cover the weekly visit to the shops. I thanked her, but told her not to care about one stop in particular, because it was on my way home. Our office is located some miles off our city. Once I arrive in my regular stop to get a most earned mountain of food, and so much coffee it could thicken my blood, I was met by all the regulars. I talked with everyone about the crazy storm and was chit-chatting while my order was being done. It arrived and I was feasting on it. Then I hear a loud man yelling something in the lines of, "What do you mean you can't help me? This is your job," to the cashier. I look back and tell myself, what a crazy bastard. It was Roger. Fake name. He keeps screaming with the cashier about something with the tires of his car. So I block the noise from my mind to finally eat my sustenance for an entire family. Then I hear a sharp and annoyed, "Hey you," coming from behind me. I thought I was in the way of someone to catch one of the condiments close to me. So I say, "My bad," push the basket with them aside and keep eating. Then I hear a loud stomp and someone, Roger, pulling me by the shoulder and yelling at me, "Fire that awful employee immediately." I was still using my officer badge and clothes, so it is understandable Roger confused me with the manager. But I was just about over one of the most stressful days of my life, and eating is sacred for me, so I simply release from his grip, turning back to my food, saying, "Go f yourself." I could hear the cashier giggling, and the owner, Bob, fake name, who happens to be behind the counter getting people's orders, giving a good laugh, and then promptly telling the man I'm just a customer, and he's the one who runs the business. Roger then says, "Is that how you run your business then? Letting rude, lousy cashiers treat your customers as garbage, and your other customers harass me without consequences?" The owner, Bob, looks at me and says, "I'm terribly sorry you have to go through this, OP. I'll see the bad customer out." Roger gives the biggest gasp I ever saw. "How dare you? You let staff and customers harass good people like this? I'm calling the police. And by the looks of your disgusting food, I bet your kitchen is dirty with rats and cockroaches. I'm calling health surveillance too." I took great offense with this. I told him this food was 1,000 times better than whatever pig wash his wife does to him whenever she is not having sexual affairs with others. Roger went into a bursting rage, starting to get physical with me and yelling some very ruder words to me. But something Roger didn't realize is the restaurant was also full of truckers who were watching their friends being harassed. Some got up to defend us, and while we were in the middle of the confusion, I hear a rough, "Hey asshole, get the hell out of here." And when I look back, there were these 3 angry guys, each one with mechanical tools in their hands, and one with the fire axe, looking like they were ready to kill. My heart skipped a beat and I froze in place with the sight of the axe, and that seems to have convinced Roger too, because he started walking quite hastily outside, yelling about calling the police. The truckers were behind him, saying they would chop his limbs off if he ever comes back. Everything eventually went back to normal, and Bob even let me get that meal for free, for all that trouble. Thank you, Bob. The police arrived later. We explained everything that happened. They asked if Bob wanted to press charges, and he simply said, "Don't worry, sir, I don't think he is coming back." If I can get anything from this, it's have the right friends, everyone, and be kind with truckers, they're a crazy bunch. Ex-girlfriend stole my car because her car was impounded. I was a 27-year-old male at the time. I was dating this girl for about 6 months. We met at the mall in my city while I was looking for a gift for Mother's Day. She had a car that she got from an auction, which ran great but didn't have a working air conditioning and had body damage. She worked odd jobs because she was a high school dropout. Well, I once let her use my car, which works better than hers did, because we went to a party and she was the designated driver. We got dinner that night, and that's when she said, "I really love your car. It has AC." Keep in mind, we were in the middle of a hot summer. I know, that's why I bought it. I said, being oblivious to her intentions. After we finished our dinner, I sobered up and took her home. I thought it was weird that she said that out of the blue. Every time she would go somewhere, she would ask to use my car. I wouldn't get it back until late night, or she would return it filled with trash. I once found a condom wrapper. From then on, I forbade her from using my car. After we broke up, due to her cheating and her drug problem, I woke up the next morning to find my car gone. I immediately called the cops and filed a report. My neighbor from across the street had a surveillance camera that luckily captured the incident. It turns out my ex stole my car along with her mom. It didn't take long to find them. Her excuse was her car was impounded. The reason? Because she parked by a fire hydrant, had expired tags, and they thought it was abandoned. I'm glad she's doing time, and I never have to see her again. Alright guys, that's it for today's stories. If you enjoyed this episode, drop a like, it really helps me out. And also, subscribe to the channel for more. So take care everyone, have an awesome day, and I'll see you next time.